All right, we got them both going. Great.
Okay.
Okay, welcome, Wendy Beasy. Thank you very much for coming to join me and tell a story about your family and how you and the others within your family and extended family have faced a dilemma with the care of your mother, Joellen, and her husband, Joe. So why don't you start off by just give us some background, tell us, what the situation was and how it came to you.
Okay. Well, my mother is 85 years old and was diagnosed with Alzheimer's probably 4 years ago or so, and has gotten, progressively worse, as you do with Alzheimer's. And she's married to Joe, not my father, and they've been married, 30 something years. And I became her power of attorney for financial and for her healthcare about a year ago. And it became increasingly clear that she was no longer able to take care of herself. Joe is also, I think he's 86, so of a similar age. And he was unable to really care for her as well. So it just was getting gradually worse. Joe, reached out to me, on numerous occasions, and requested that I move my mom and, basically separate them. He just said he couldn't, take care of her anymore and just needed help. And asked me as power of attorney to, step in, which I had been wanting to do for quite some time, but of course I didn't have that authority until her husband actually asked me to do so. So when he did that, opened the door for me to, step in and help basically get my mom moved out of her home that she had been in since 2008. And, she clearly didn't want to leave there, but she didn't really realize, the disease. You don't really know that you can't take care of yourself. So it was up to us to, my brother and I, to determine that she couldn't take care of herself. So Joe, asked us to, step in, get her moved. And this happened, I think, early 2022, when he finally said, I've had enough. So I had a trip. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, so there's a distance. I planned a trip to go up there in April.
Go up where? Where were your mother?
Bremerton. So the home that they owned together since 2008 was in Bremerton, Washington. And on this trip, I planned to be there a week. I had quite a big agenda, and it took a lot of planning in advance. One of the things, my mom was a huge collector of antiques, so the house was just filled with, valuable antiques and just stuff, lots and lots of stuff that she'd been collecting over the years. So I knew we needed to, get the house emptied, get it cleaned, get it ready for sale, find a realtor, get the house sold. The first call I made was to, I searched online for an auction company, somebody that could come in and, set up an online auction, sell all the belongings, and then maybe do a deep cleaning. So I was lucky enough to find a company called Blue Nest Homes, and they're located in Silverdale, Washington. And after talking to them extensively, I explained that, I need to find a realtor, and she said, oh, she knew my situation, because I kind of explained to her, this is the situation we're in. And she said, oh, I have the perfect person for you. His name is Jim Freeman. And, here's his number. So I think Jim was my next call, and talked to Jim, immediately made a connection. I felt like I really understood our situation and were willing to just kind of get involved, even though it was complicated, because my mom wouldn't be making decisions. I'd be making them in conjunction with Joe. So he was kind of my partner in this, and then his adult kids are involved as well. So, there was quite a few of us that were kind of part of this.
How many total people were involved?
So me and my brother, and then Joe, and then my mom wasn't aware of what was going on. And Joe's son, Chris, lives up in that area, so he was very involved. And then Joe's daughter, Amy, was also very involved. And then he has another son, David, as well. So there's 5 of us, step siblings that were, that kind of work together. So mainly, Chris was very instrumental up there because he was physically up there along with his wife, Lori, who was also a huge, huge help. And Amy, I'll explain her role in a minute here probably. but anyway, from the get-go, Jim, you completely understood our situation. We're willing to, I think one of the biggest and best skills that you had was being communicative with all of us and, setting up Zoom calls when we all needed to get together and make decisions on things. So we signed the contract to sell the house when I was up there on this week-long trip on April 24th. The home closed escrow on July 29th. So in 3 months it was sold. And I am floored that we were able to, get the house emptied because there was so much stuff, get it completely cleaned, get repairs done. Joe's son, Chris, did a huge amount of repairs on the home and turn it into, a really sellable property. And then Jim did his thing and got us a buyer. Everything went smoothly. I think the escrow was a 30-day, 35-day escrow or something like that.
Right.
It went quick. It went smoothly. There was no problems, but literally 3 months from signing the contract to the close of escrow. And that absolutely amazed me. So I think, working with you has been great. I am thankful that we found you, because I didn't know anybody up there. It was just a stroke of luck that, that you were referred to me. And I didn't feel the need after, I think my first conversation with you on the phone, I did not feel the need to call anyone else. I didn't even call another realtor because I was like, okay, this guy gets it. He deals with this. He's dealt with these exact types of situations before, where it can get a little sticky, with older people moving out of their homes into care facilities. And he gets it. So not only did you work well with me, but also I think really clicked well with Chris, Lori, Amy, my brother, Joe. You really got Joe on your side. And that was one of the biggest things we needed Joe to feel comfortable with whoever we chose. And, because I pretty much found you. And so I needed Joe's buy-in on this, and I needed him to support us hiring you. And he did, because I think you got his trust immediately, which is great. So I think you being able to do that really made it a successful home sale. So
Yeah, well, from my side of the experience, there were a number of people involved, and virtually nobody had authority. Nobody could say, this is what we're going to do.
right.
And in situations like that, where there are large numbers of people, and there's some family history, and there's always, families are complicated organisms. But I was so impressed with you, Wendy, and with your brother, Chris, especially. I call him Mr. Everything.
Yeah.
And
he is that.
And his wife, Lori.
Yeah.
And Amy. Everybody played their part. And what impressed me the most about it was everybody was willing to look past their own interests or opinions,
Mm-hmm.
and try to come to a solution that was going to work for everybody. And you don't always get that. And
Right.
here you are, you're living 1,000 miles away in Scottsdale, Arizona, and your mother's up there, and you can't be there every day to sort of look in on things and take care of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not have done what I was able to do unless I had all of that goodwill and cooperation. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
So there is another angle here too. Money. When we all discovered, we dug down and so, well, this has to happen, that has to happen. And some of these things cost money. I call them transition expenses. And then there are certain categories of expense in preparing a property for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how much you're going to do. It doesn't have to be a lot, but, sometimes, cleaning is one thing,
Right.
Things like that. And, there amongst the whole group of people, there was a lack of resources. Didn't have enough to cover things. If it was going to flow smoothly, there wasn't enough money present to do that.
Right.
Why don't you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so I think that was one of the first conversations I had with you was, they don't really have money for them each to move. They don't, they're kind of struggling paying their bills. When my mom got sick, I think she kind of handled all the finances and really kind of lost control of that. So I think everything their finances became a mess, frankly. They had a bunch of credit card debt, which they didn't have previously. And so financially, they weren't on solid ground. And so I explained that to Jim. There was certain things we needed money for, like you had mentioned, the repairs of the home that needed to be done. Blue Nest Homes, who we did hire to do the auction. They did the online auction for us, as well as removing everything from the home, deep cleaning, etc. They did an amazing job. We also needed money for transition. Joe needed some money to get to California. He was actually, his kids brought him to California to live with Amy temporarily, because in order to sell the home, we needed both of them out of the home. I brought my brother and I brought my mom to Scottsdale, Arizona, and she lived with me for a while, and now she's in a memory care facility. But she needed transition money, because when you first move into a memory care facility, you have to pay a community fee, which is usually a pretty big chunk of money, as well as the initial, monthly, rent and care. So anyway, there was quite a few things that we were short on money for. And so Jim has an investor contact that he reached out to and explained our situation to. Brought us all together on a Zoom call, I believe that was, and she agreed to lend us money for the transition. We did a budget, exactly how much we needed for all these items, and she loaned us the money. And it was because of you, bringing her to us and connecting us that was able to happen. And she was paid, out of escrow. So when escrow closed, she was paid. And
Yeah, I certainly played a role in bringing her in, but
yes,
the reason that she loaned you the money is because she's a good person.
she is a good person.
And,
I will say that 100%. She's
Yeah.
an amazing person. Yep.
Okay, so long distance operation. And just a quick question about Blue Nest Home in
Okay.
Silverdale. They pretty much did everything.
They did everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Once you signed the contract and gave the deposit,
Yep.
you really didn't have to worry about too much after that, did you?
Yeah. I mean, I basically, that week that I was up there, besides, I met with you, I met with the Blue Nest Homes people. My brother and I kind of got my mom's just valuables, things that we wanted, keepsakes, photo albums, all the family pictures, and just kind of got those into storage and kind of worked on that. But then they came in. So once my mom was out of there and Joe had been moved out of there, that's when they stepped in and did their magic. Yeah. So, because I can't even tell you, if we had tried to do that ourselves, I mean, the time it would have taken, it would have been an overwhelming, impossible task. So
it involved probably hundreds of person hours.
Yeah.
To figure out what was there, assemble it,
Yeah.
describe it, whatever.
Yeah. Inventory it, take pictures of
Yeah.
it, get it listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. But let's also acknowledge Chris, as you already have.
Yes.
Who stepped in. Chris is, I guess, what you call a pretty handy guy.
Yeah, very.
And he did some work himself, but he was able also to organize a couple of contractors to come and do a couple of things, which were absolutely critical.
Yes.
And they were done well,
Yeah.
and on time and on budget.
Yeah.
That's stuff that I would normally handle, but Chris was there,
Yeah.
and I was glad he was there.
Yeah, it was amazing. All
Yeah.
the things he did. And yeah, so very thankful for that. I think that really helped the house sell. He did some very,
He did, absolutely. Yeah.
important things.
All right. Well, Wendy, I don't want to take your time. You're a busy business owner, and this is
Yes,
your day off. So thank you very much for the time. It was my great pleasure to work with you. And I hope this won't be the last time, although you're in Arizona.
right.
But you have anything else to say to people who are looking at these same problems, or any words of wisdom?
Just that I would recommend you 100%. And if anybody wants to call me or email me and get, my opinion or ask questions about you and the kind of job you did for us, I'd be happy to sing your praises. So thank you so much. I could not imagine accomplishing what we've accomplished without you. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the kind words, and I hope we'll be able to speak soon again.
Yes, I'm sure we will. Okay, thank you.
All right.